which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 16th day of December 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the Trustees Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law. So what works up? We have the Dennison Hordes to the Fenner Hose Company active role, I guess transfer. Jonathan Tressler from the Fenner Hose Company active role to the Fire Police active role. Appointment of Jake Christopher as full-time laborer at the DPW.
Before we go any further, can we discuss that, please?
Sure.
I don't have any paperwork or any information regarding the new hire. Has anyone submitted that or had that application or background check or anything?
Yeah, he's been a part-time employee for 2 years. He's already gone through that whole process. And like with the last two people that were promoted from part-time to full-time, when we go in and we make the recommendation for the resolution, it's just based on the fact that it's not an outside hire, it's somebody that's already been here.
There is no interview process because he's a laborer. When the laborer goes to MEO, then there is an interview process.
As a part-timer, though, was there a background check performed on the part-timer?
Everything was done, yes. Everything is done. It's the same way as, Brad does it all the time. That's how everybody does it.
Hiring a full-time DPW employee, this was a position that was opened up by a person that left, right?
I won't mention names, yes, he just recently resigned.
Right. And now we don't go outside at all? We don't advertise for this position?
We posted, as a formality with the union within. Of course, there was no one that responded. And normally I just promote from within.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think in the future, I noticed this gentleman lives in Dunkirk. Do you think in the future that we could maybe advertise it a little bit more to the public?
Yeah, whatever.
Try to get maybe a resident of the village to apply?
Yeah, whatever the board wishes.
Well,
That's
when do-
all in practice there was.
Resident of the village for labor isn't required, department heads.
I didn't say it was required. I just thought it would be a nice idea. Maybe we'd have a resident of our village.
Then you
might be
probably
able to-
shouldn't give the temporary position to these people because most of them come with the expectation or the
Well,
hope.
we put out an advertisement for part-time positions, and when we fill those positions, we fill it both with anyone who applies.
I haven't ever seen advertising for part-time since I've been here. It's normally they come in and they just off the streets will put in and ask for applications either at DPW or Village Hall. And then we retain those applications, and when there's a void in staffing, then it comes up to you for vote and a resolution if you want to approve them or not. And again, it's up to you folks.
Right.
If you want to advertise in the future, certainly you can implement that. That's your discretion.
I also kind of feel like, I understand that, but I also feel like if someone's been working part-time and they've been doing a good job, and you've worked with them and sort of cultivated them and gotten them to a good place, it kind of makes sense to promote them if they wish to be promoted. Because you already know the person and you know their work ethic and all that kind of stuff, so.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. But there may be other applicants that live in the village, that are village residents that may be qualified or more qualified.
Yeah, I would admonish anybody
Okay.
that's looking, please step forward, because if we can't even do it today, it's really helpful to have some right there that you can draw from in the future. Sure, it helps.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you to Bud and Bloom Garden Club. These are the people who came in the summer and painted the gazebo up at the Russell Joy Park. And it would be a good idea to acknowledge them and good for them for future work. Mm-hmm. And then we have the reappointment of James McKillop to Zoning Board of Appeals.
Mayor, are you making the recommendation to appoint this person?
He has to be reappointed. Usually I do that, yeah.
Okay.
Purchase of water meter vehicle. we talked about it, and Tony found somebody.
Tony,
something.
did you get a couple other quotes or call any other dealers by any chance?
Yeah, we checked with, what we did with the last one too, the same thing. We called National Grid, see if they had any fleet vehicles available, DFT, and also St. George Construction. I reached out to one of our water park vendors. This was the only respond that could come into that theoretical price range. I didn't want to go above a certain mark, which we had discussed.
And did you reach out to maybe a couple of the local dealers in town other than
No, I
Tony?
felt that the 4 or 5 that we reached was sufficient with the New York State procurement law.
Okay.
I reaffirmed that with Jim and the mayor, and just wanted to make sure that, I didn't want to go, obviously, for a lot more money. I like the fact that we got a great 2013 vehicle with very low mileage. And when we looked, I had plenty of money left in the water fund from one of the capital lines we haven't touched. And then Jim suggested 50/50 water sewer
Okay.
funding.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then we have the abstract 520, number 520 approval. Have
Sorry,
anything
what was
else?
The abstract.
The
Approval of
abstract,
abstract.
number 520 approval.
Oh, I'm looking at the, okay, the more up-to-date one, I'm sorry.
And I understand you want to talk about the contract?
Yes, I'll just, I emailed everybody a contract extension with Urban Vantage. This is the company that took over our services with Nate Aldridge. It's Travis Gordon who is in charge of that, with that company, and he's been doing a good job. I just,
Did you say you emailed it, Doug?
yes,
When did you?
Okay, because I don't think I got it.
this afternoon, when,
Okay,
Okay, I got it.
okay.
I can provide a hard copy here for you when we leave. Just to look it over, maybe that could be looked over and discussed at the next meeting to approve, because his contract expires at the end of this year.
All right.
Does anyone know if he signed the,
He did,
Yes.
he did sign the other
Yes, he
one,
did.
so he was able to get paid.
thank you.
All right, anything else?
I have, under old business, I had some thoughts about the intersection of Center and Risley and the issues we have there with going through the stop sign. Some other intersections in town, I know the one on Gardner and Johnson, we have a big yellow sign that has arrows. I noticed at the college at night, they have a lighted a stop sign that's got LED lights on it, that's powered by solar powered. It powers up during the day and it lights up at night. To either have that, I guess what I'm thinking is just some thoughts of doing some ulterior stuff until we totally decide what might be a permanent solution. Some signage.
We already made our moves today. We are putting in a second stop sign on the southwest corner.
Yep,
So you'll have double stop signs with a red reflective tape in the U channel.
Mhm.
And then we just called underground markings in front of that property in the right of way for a double pedestal, double arrow reflective sign.
Yep.
I think that, I checked today with the county. I didn't hear back from the county, but I did talk to some other former coworkers in engineering and road design, and they confirmed that my concern about putting something else other than that there is an issue. But this was the one they also reminded and recommended. So I've already got that. Those signs are being probably put up Thursday.
Super. And also, like going up to like stop signs, you can have a stop sign with an arrow saying it's headed there, and also
Yeah,
a T
there is a
intersection.
sign we've got, I should have mentioned that too. There will be a stop ahead warning sign.
Yes.
It's 200 feet north of the existing, south of the existing stop sign.
Mhm.
So as you approach down Center Street, you'll have a warning about the stop ahead. You'll have 2 stop signs with reflective markings, then you have your double reflective arrow. So I think that will hopefully certainly wake somebody up more than what's happened in the past.
Yeah, because
That's right.
Because there's other intersections I've had similar incidents. You have Chestnut and Berry, where cars have gone through the intersection of coming out of Berry onto Chestnut into that porch of that house. The
That's
curb,
that, yeah, that's the county road there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and the curve on Newton Street, the one house that gets run into there as
I
well.
think we've got an arrow there right now, there, a
Yeah,
sign signifying
so,
the turn.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I can upgrade them, but these are simple in-house steps that can be made without spending, I mean, very little money.
that just seemed like a common sense first start,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Anything else?
That's where we are with the police chief position. As far as make a decision how we want to go about it. But we need to know.
Well, the board has to decide if they're going to go for a temporary or a provisional before we do that. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
correct.
So the board has to decide first if they wish to have a provisional, which is a regular hire, and only depending on the exam, or a temporary, which is not a hire, actually, it's a temporary police chief. And then everybody else, people can apply and get the position. Provisional, you made a hire. That's the person you are going to hire. So that's why we have to
Jim
wait
had
for.
made some suggestions of posting something internally, asking for interested individuals. We have 2 letters of interest so far. The position doesn't become vacant until January 3rd. So I would kind of ask as a respect for the new board to maybe have the new board make that decision.
Absolutely. That's up to the board.
Kind of-
Something to think
in order-
about.
In order to get an advertising, I mean, he has put in his letter of resignation, or retirement, I should say. I mean, has the clerk advertised the position as of yet?
No,
No, we have not.
no, but in an
But it's-
instance where you're on vacation,
But we have-
there's a order of operation that takes place, that could take place short period until we decide what we need to do.
Yes, when I'm away, Sergeant Price takes care of the payroll and schedule, and then any major calls that come in. But those are for 1 week periods of time.
One week, so he'd be the officer in charge for 1 week periods of time.
And then we're still short, correct? You would still be short.
Right, that's.
Currently, we have
that
an
also-
officer
yeah,
out,
that-
but that's not a permanent vacancy.
No,
I think what Kara's referring to is that if you do a temporary appointment from within, or an officer in charge, and then a temporary, you will be down to 13 officers in the department. And I can tell you the schedule doesn't work with 13 officers. And the test results came out last week, so whoever is in that seat can anticipate at least 3 of our part-timers leaving for full-time jobs that are currently held open around the county with law enforcement agencies. So I would recommend to you that you consider moving from 14 full-time officers to 15 full-time officers, because you're not going to find part-timers to fill in the gap. We've had that conversation. What you would do is, right now, you would go out and hire a full-timer upon my departure. Then if you promote from within, you need that full-timer anyhow. You're going to have to go out and hire another full-timer if you want to move from 14 to 15. If you hire from a chief from outside of the organization, you'll be at the 15 that you really want to be at. That I would highly recommend you be at, because you're not going to, I don't think you're going to get 6 part-timers looking for work anymore. And they're all preferring to be with the sheriff's department.
That's kind of why I feel like, I understand the desire to wait till a new board is seated. But I'm concerned for all of these reasons that we should have something in place before that.
Well, I'm not saying not to, but you
Yeah.
can't appoint anybody until the 3rd anyhow. That's 2-3
There's
weeks
not going
away.
to be a way to appoint anybody before the 3rd, because there's no advertisement. There were 2 letters of interest. It's very difficult to find. That's what I think, is that the 3rd is in 2 weeks.
There would only be 4 people. If you go with the temporary position, there's only 4 people who could qualify. 2 of those people have submitted letters. In the interest of, full disclosure, the email that I sent to them was, they needed to have letters to you by January 1st. So, I suspect you're probably not gonna get any more letters, but there is an opportunity that those other two sergeants may be interested, they just haven't submitted their letters yet.
So we have two different opportunities here. We need to think about if we need to hire a full-time police officer and the appointment or provisional appointment of a chief, acting chief.
Not acting chief, temporary.
A person, yeah,
Temporary
either
provision.
temporary or provisionally appointed.
Temporary or provisionally, and if you're gonna hire another officer, you'd have to advertise right away for
You
another
just call
officer.
for the list.
I'm sorry?
Call for the
You'd
list.
call for the list, okay.
Can we do that?
And the list is available now?
The list came out last week.
Can we
Last
do
week.
that? Can we do that? Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. As a fun, are we in budget for another officer this year? I mean,
No, you wouldn't be spending any extra money. As of right now, you wouldn't be spending any extra money.
okay,
You would be filling my vacancy
okay.
if you hired a full-timer.
Right.
If
Take
you,
over when you leave.
But then they're gonna have to have a police chief, and that's the extra money.
and that would be the extra money, which would come after June. If you make the decision that you want to go from 14 full-time officers to 15, you'll have an opportunity to put in, but those test results for the March chief's test are not going to come back
Right.
prior to June.
So that'll be in next
So,
year's
so
budget.
that, if you make that decision that you're going to hire from outside and you want the additional officer, you'll have the opportunity to put it in the budget. If you make the decision that you're gonna hire from within, you're gonna need to go back and hire another officer anyhow, because you're
Take that person out of-
gonna need a person. So, I don't think there's any, in my opinion, I don't think there's any danger in calling for the list and canvassing the list. That takes several weeks. By the way, no decision would be made prior to the new board being in place. If you called for the list today, you wouldn't be making any decisions about filling that position for a month out, because you gotta mail the letters, you gotta get the letters back, and then you have to do an interview process. Clearly, the next board would be sitting for that.
And my guess is that because the exam is in March, that any officer that would be, say we did a temporary appointment to get through that time, that any officer that would be interested would then probably be taking that exam in March so that they,
I would, yeah, obviously, the two officers who have already expressed an interest intend to take that test.
they intend to.
Yeah, and then you would have the decision to make about, are you going for promotional or an open competitive? Or both. You can certainly offer both tests, take a look at the candidate list, and make a decision based on whether you want to interview from within and out, or whether you want to just interview within. But that's a decision you can make back when the results come out.
Right.
Based on the names that appear on the list.
I believe both tests were called for, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
they were. So we wouldn't be using an officer in charge, we still would be using a temporary person, though.
Right, and I think Dan would
I'm
have
sorry.
to,
No, it's
Officer
confusing.
and
There's-
temporary, two different things.
Right, correct.
So,
Those are two different things, right? But those- we have to make a decision, though, tonight, which way we want to go, in order to get something moving. We got, time is short.
That'd be something to discuss in executive session, maybe?
This is not
This is
executive.
not,
It
exec-
has to
this is,
be
this is not
executive.
executive.
It's not
We're not
executive.
talking about any person in particular.
Oh, okay. Well, if you do
Talking
a
about
provisional
positions,
appointment,
right?
you would.
But you're not making decisions about a person, you're making a decision as to how to go forward.
Process.
Okay, the process, either temporary or provisional.
Right.
Correct.
So,
can I just say quickly,
I saw
I was
that.
hired under provisional conditions.
yeah. mhm.
There will be candidates that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure
For provisional,
to be
The
hired
person.
provisionally, unless you're gonna do it from within the organization, and that's the person you want, no matter what, which that's fine. Then I'd say a provisional appointment, but if you're thinking about a provisional appointment from a person outside the organization and bringing them in, you're gonna miss out on because a lot of people aren't gonna capitalize on it. They're not gonna give up their job in hopes that they pass the test.
I think we should do temporary.
Personally, I like the idea of advertising to hire the other officer and then do a temporary.
Yeah, because it gives us options, I think different
And
options.
I think it's better for the department, and I think all the officers currently there would agree.
But may I ask, if we advertise for a temporary, who actually going to apply? Somebody who is not going to have a job right now? Somebody who is looking to be a chief? I mean, from outside, I mean. From inside, I can see.
Right. And from inside, they look
I don't
for
think,
themselves.
I don't think you meant outside the organization.
No.
Yeah. You-
Okay,
No.
yeah.
Now, keep in mind, Doug, in regard to the new board, I just repeat myself that you could go downstairs, go into executive session and have a conversation, but you may not be talking about all the candidates that might come your way. There are two other individuals that could submit letters.
Correct.
So while you could entertain the two that you have, just, I wouldn't make any decisions until after January 1st. You'd have your new board member, and you'd know you had all the interested parties.
Right.
No, I agree with that. Not selecting the person today is what I'm saying, is the process.
Right,
Is what I'm suggesting.
yes.
So what you're saying is that the best option is to have somebody temporary from the department, from within,
Yes,
and then advertise.
yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So-
Advertise for
Sounds
an
good.
That's
officer.
what I think.
Brad and Jim, in a temporary position, they get a stipend to stand in,
Better ask to Dan, but I believe that would be the case.
and they still be eligible for overtime
That would be,
on a temporary basis versus provisional.
Well, the officer in charge would be. The provisional would not be. Temporary and interim are used kind of the same in the civil service law. I'm not sure, I have not checked with civil service as to what the interim chief would make.
Or would it be contractual? I don't have the contract in front of me.
Can I make a suggestion that you call for the list for the regular patrolmen now?
Yeah,
Because that's
I
gonna-
said I
we
wanted to
did
do
ask.
that, yes.
Gonna take, it'll take a couple of weeks anyway, so we
Right.
can start with that.
Sure.
Right. Well, like I said, we're not talking about the person, and she will call, that will give us an idea of who's available.
Just call for the list, yeah.
Yeah, right, get the list, but it's part of the process we should do.
Yeah, well, the list is for an extra patrolman, an extra
Correct.
police officer anyways,
Right.
it's not for the chief.
Not for the chief, right? Are we? Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
I'm-
I'm in agreement.
Yes.
Yep, Dr. Barris?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, sounds
There we
good.
go.
Anything else?
Old business, I just wanted to go over, have we decided anything about the sign? We
I
kind
thought
of
we
left it
said the
out,
first one.
kind of
Number
hanging
one.
out.
A,
A,
whatever that
we're going
is.
with A.
Yeah.
Chief, your choice again?
I wanted to take the colors from A and apply them to the B.
To be?
But I certainly have, I designed A initially 22 years ago.
Right,
I'm
because it
still,
matches the other signs.
yeah, and
right?
I'm very happy with that sign. I wouldn't be,
And if we
It would be-
decided to accept their gift, is that what we're gonna end up doing as a board?
Absolutely,
I
I think
would
so.
think so. It's very
Yeah, I think
gracious
it's
of
very
them.
generous.
Generous, yeah. Mhm.
Guess we'll just have to drop a resolution to approve our findings and our choice of colors and go from there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get that done.
Do we need a resolution for that, to accept it?
Yeah, we probably have to draw some.
Is it A?
Yeah, I guess we're going with A, right?
Is that the?
Yes.
The consensus was?
Dr. Barris,
Sure.
Yes.
what is your pleasure? A?
We'll go with A. Anything else under old business? I have one other thing I'd like to discuss. Last week, we received the audit from McCoyak, Johnson McCoyak and Associates. There was a section in there, I had a question, and it had to do with the litigation portion of the audit. Page 39, litigation says the village is party to various legal proceedings which normally occur in government operations. The village believes that it is ultimate liability, if any, in connection with these materials, and will not have any material effect on the village's finances, conditions, or results of operations. As of today, I don't know of any litigations that we have, and I was wondering if Attorney Gard would have any insight into that and why that would be in our report.
You don't?
That's standard language.
Is that what that is?
That's been in the last umpteen, that's to indicate that, to the best of our knowledge, and it's a letter that Dan sends. Dan, you can speak to this, really, but that there is no outstanding litigation that would have any impact on our financial statement. That's all that says.
Okay.
Basically, I mean, Roger, you know there isn't any litigation that you're not aware of from executive session discussions. And the letter that I signed traditionally for the audit says that there is no litigation pending that is going to affect, the village besides, that's not covered by insurance, basically.
Makes sense. Doug, you have anything else?
That's all? All right.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak once recognized shall stand and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
Nobody, so I close the public portion. A few things that I'd like to mention. First of all, our fire department and the community lost a very important and valuable member. Neil McNeil died last week. And he has been the mentor and the teacher and the friend of so many in the community. I was really impressed to read what he did and to how many people he personally had an impression on. So my biggest condolences to his family and the largest family that he belongs to, the fire department, and of course the village. A little bit about the small business revolution. Obviously, it was a very lively week that we had. I was at the rally, actually, sitting there. The small business revolution is being put forward by a private corporation. And I personally want to thank the niece of a friend whose brother was my intern, actually, when I first started, for putting this application in. We certainly seem to be in a very good road for that. Totally by accident, I spoke with the two ladies who were here for a couple of days to talk to businesses. I was at a local business. They walked in, and we had a nice chat about the village and about the past and the future and all these things. So best of luck to the village. Let's not forget that this week also we're expecting the results, the awards from the Main Street grant. That's $625,000 that we have applied for the street from the state of New York to paid actual money up to 80% to building rehabilitation downtown. There are 5 businesses, 5 buildings, actually, that we put in the application. And sometime next week or the next, definitely before the end of the year, we should have the results from that. So good luck to that as well. Something else. In this community, we have so many very people, quality people who have done great things in their lives. I was very privileged yesterday, actually, to attend a little reception for Reverend Dr. Cynthia Wickwire Landquist from the Presbyterian Church. She is retiring. She's an amazing person. She started so many things. She had so many initiatives in the village. One of them, the Fredonia Challenge, of course. Another one, an alternative Christmas market, trying to donate to local non-for-profits and from all over the world. So a great, great person, and I wish her the very best. Another person like that who we don't know about is our very own Dr. Barris. Actually, Dr. Barris, in April, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, in April.
In April of this year, he was awarded the Albert Nelson Marquis Life Achievement Award. This is a very prestigious award. Over 1.5 million applications or suggestions or nominations have been given to that. A very small percentage of that number get the award. An even smaller number, about 9 people, they are selected from the Wall Street Journal to be their awardees from the Life Achievement Award of Who is Who. And actually, this is the paper, Wall Street Journal, and our own Dr. Barris is being recognized as for all the work that he has done throughout his life. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
And with that, that's all my report.
Very nice.
Christina? Christina?
Yes, I will mention this again because it's a little bit in the future, but I just want people to get excited about an open house on February 1st at the cable studio downstairs. It's going to be during the intermission of one of the programs that's on Saturday afternoon in the Opera House, and people can go down and have refreshments. And the cable studio has been renovated, and I'm hoping, Chip, that we're gonna have a green screen talking about it so people can kind of go on stage and do the weather or do a little report and look at all the wonderful equipment. There's so much new equipment down there that has been budgeted, that has allowed Chip and the others to really up their game. They've been doing a good job for years, but now they can do a better job for us. So hopefully people could stop down and check out the studio and say hello to everybody and look at all the great stuff that's down there. So I will remind people again, but it's going to be February 1st. It's a Saturday afternoon. And
Great,
that's it.
very good, thank you.
That's
Trustee
great.
Linton?
That's really good. I have no other reports, thank you.
Trustee Asok?
Yes, as the mayor alluded, we had an event last Wednesday and Thursday. The Small Business Revolution came into town. Our committee did a fantastic job. I'd like to thank everybody on the committee. Everybody was involved in it. There was many people, too many people to list right now. There was a lot. It was a great event. We have a chance of getting into the top 5 of this contest, and just would like to get everybody going, and we'll be letting everybody know once we do get in the top 5 what we need to do. And we'll be looking for additional support and subcommittees and these sort of things to help out. So again, thank you to everyone who made this a successful event. It was great. It was a Wednesday at 2 o'clock during a snow squall storm. We had over 400 people in the Opera House. It was a tremendous event, so thank you everybody who was involved. That's all.
Thank you. Trustee Bridge?
I also would like to have my deepest condolences to Neil and his family. I know as a young kid, I used to run around the fire hall a lot with my father, and a lot of the older firemen, and Neil was one of the guys that I remember the most. It was a great loss that day for us. Also, I'd like to thank the Committee for the Small Business Revolution. They worked tirelessly, literally, for 2 weeks or more, a little less than 2 weeks, to get this whole event put together. again, like Doug said, that there's a lot of people involved with this to make this all happen. We have an opportunity as a village to move on to the next round, and I hope that we continue that momentum, not only from our village point, but also the businesses and our festivals, and it's really starting to be a whirlwind event that we can all start to cooperate and make things move forward. So again, I want to thank that committee, and that's all I have tonight.
Okay, Trustee Barris.
Yes. I've gone through 2 documents produced by the Industrial Appraisal Company. One is 208 pages, the other is 139 pages. It lists all of the physical assets of the village except for one. Has photographs of each structure or instrument which the village owns. There's one piece that's missing, and I discussed that with Antonio Esposito of Industrial Appraisals Company this morning, and he pointed out to me that the land on which the property stands is listed on page 119 in the report, the second report. And however, it doesn't mention any structure on that. And the structure in question is a 2-truck garage, which has been formerly a property of New York State. And in 1955, it was abandoned when the Route 60 was reconstructed. The structure, I think, represents a possible liability for the village, and I think the trustees should be aware of possible people playing within it and possible collapse of the structure or part of the structures. It's located at Darby Switch and Spoden Road in an area which is not, no other structure is visible at that intersection.
Yes, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for this information.
Those have been printed, the clerk has printed, and they are available in the clerk's office for inspection.
Very good. Treasurer's report.
Yes, this week, I was informed by by Gugino Plumbing, they maintain our heating system in the village, and one of the heat exchangers was faulty and needs to be replaced. So I asked them to give us a proposal.
No surprise.
He can repair it with labor and material for $3,700, or we can consider purchasing a new boiler for $9,598, which is what he's recommending. I just got this, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. We don't have to discuss this now, but probably some consideration. Well, he said there are 3 heat exchangers down there. 2 are operating, and he said, we could operate that for a while.
How old are they?
I don't know how old they are, but they're in good working condition, he said. Those 2. I don't know. Find out.
You probably have to discuss it.
Yeah, I was wondering, as far as the repair, how confident he is with the repair, they'll, give us some longevity
Right,
on
how
that.
long will it last if we just repair it, is what we need to know.
Or is that repair a Band-Aid for a bigger problem? I guess we need to know.
We probably have to put a proposal together, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I
There's
just
one right here.
wanted to give you a heads up. That's all I am.
I'm wondering how old they are.
Reports, code enforcement report for the month of November 2019. Building permits issued 18, inspections 17, certificates of occupancy 4, certificates of compliance 8, violations found 5, violations satisfied 5. Fees collected, permit fees $1,830, rental fees $580, certificate of compliance fees $1,275, for a total of $3,985. Rental inspections 18, rental renewals 11. Junk car and property maintenance, found 1 junk car, 0 property maintenance inspections. Miscellaneous annual and fire inspections 12, fire notifications 1, appearance tickets 4. Complaints received 2 and complaints satisfied 2. The next report is the Fredonia Fire Department for the month of November 2019. Fire, total of fire calls 1, rescue and EMS 98, hazardous conditions, no fire 5, service calls 4, good intent calls 20, false alarm and false call 15, severe weather and natural disasters 1, for a grand total of 144. And those are all the reports I have for this evening.
Thank you, Andrew. Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to add Jameson Hortz to the active rolls.
Be it resolved that the name of Jamison Horch, Center Street, Fredonia, is hereby added to the active rolls of the Fenner Hose Company effective immediately.
I second the resolution.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye.
Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to remove Jonathan Tressler from the Fenner Hose Company active roll and add him to the Fredonia Fire Police active roll.
Be resolved that the name of Jonathan Tressler is hereby removed from the Fenner Hose Company active roll and added to the Fredonia Fire Police active roll.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye.
Resolutions.
Be it resolved that Jake Christopher, 276 King Street, Dunkirk, is hereby hired as a full-time laborer to work with the Department of Public Works at an hourly rate of $16.16, subject to civil service rules and regulations, and a 6-month probationary period.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the mayor and the village board thank the Chadwick Bay Garden Club for their donation of wreaths to the village hall and the Bud and Bloom Garden Club for their donation of bows for the gazebo. And the mayor is hereby authorized to send the Chadwick Bay Garden Club and the Bud and Bloom Garden Club letters thanking them for their generosity.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye. Be it resolved that James McKillop, 96 Water Street, Fredonia, is hereby reappointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term of 5 years, which term shall expire in January 2025.
I'll second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye. Whereas the village requires a vehicle for use by the water meter reader, as the current 2008 Chevy pickup has exceeded its useful life and will no longer pass inspection. And whereas Mancuso Auto Broker has offered a 2013 Ford Escape at a cost of $7,500. And whereas this vehicle is suitable for the village's purpose, therefore, be it resolved, the village board hereby authorizes the purchase of this vehicle.
I second that resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstract number 520 is hereby approved and directed paid.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Briggs?
Yes.
Trustee Varis?
Aye. I move that we adjourn.
At this time, I would like to ask the board enter an executive session to discuss the lawsuits against the village that I am unaware of. Thank you.
Anybody second that?
I'll make a second. Second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
There,
Dan?
there is not any pending litigation you're not aware of. Trustee Gritz.
I would like to enter an executive session to discuss that matter. Attorney Guard, would you have a second, anyone?
I did.
She did. Trustee Christina?
Yes?
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee-
Yes.
Trustee Briggs? Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.